Howdy there, folks! How are y'all doing? My name is Rees, and welcome back to our Tekkit 2 Let's Play adventure, where today, spoilers, we're going to be building a nuclear reactor, a safe nuclear reactor. Well, as safe as we can, and we're going to be building it, well, I'll show you where we're going to be building it, but I'm going to go ahead and forward this by saying, as I trolled through the many objects in the IC2 Classic mod, and I realized that there's now steam reactors and nether star reactor fuel cells and all sorts of things I'd never heard of. First off, I felt old. I felt like old man yells at LED bulb in store and says, "Back in my day, our lights were a fire hazard and we liked it that way." I'm so behind. So there's a lot of research I need to do. So today we're going to be building a classic, basic uranium reactor with a nice, safe design that's going to put out hopefully enough power for a Mass Fabricator so that we can get that thing we talked about last time. The UU Matter pouch to hold a bunch of upgrades. I can't remember what it was called anymore. That's what we're going to be doing today, though. That's going to be the focus. And before we get started, I do have some things that I want to discuss. So first off, I figured out what to do with the roof. Now, the roof might look normal to you at first if we fly around out here, but if we get really close, you'll see my brilliant idea was to put gray carpet on the roof. Now, gray carpet is, of course, just, well, that's useless, but if you look at the recipe, a couple of gray wool. Gray wool, it's just, you get yourself some gray dye. Gray dye, it's just bone meal and ink is what I ended up doing. Pretty basic. I think it looks good with the wood to the point where it's kind of hard to discern the top up there. I mean, like, look at it. Can you even really see the carpet in the wood? I will say, I logged into this without the Pure BD Craft pack on, and boy, does it look awful. This house looks terrible. The windows were a poor choice, because, you know, in Minecraft, they don't connect together properly. But I've got actually some design changes in mind for those windows in the future anyway. Something else we need to address very quickly is what's going on in the basement. We really need, like, a single button push to open all of those. That would be cool. The basement has been extended. It now goes all the way over here. And let me tell you, this was so much easier with the destruction catalyst and the mercurial eye. My gosh, that made this so much faster. Now, lighting's a bit of a mess. Our lamps and most lamp components, well, not really well, actually, yeah, all of the lamp components, except for the redstone torch, I guess, no longer have an EMC value. So that's unfortunate. They all have to be made in bulk, and it's a pain. So this is the only area where I really did, like, patterned lighting, and then for the rest of it, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just put them down where we need them. We do have a pig down here, and we got our good pig Prescott, who is just having a wonderful time. I went back into the mines, and I got that one name tag we found that one time and left down there. And then, folks have been asking, folks have been worried. I assure you, Carl the chicken is fine. Carl the chicken is not dead, has not been killed, has been hanging out down here in the basement. Got lots of glorious windows that are going to be replaced soon with better windows. Oh, and then also I did this. So let's go outside and have a look at that, because that is where our reactor is going to be stored. And hopefully, if it goes, you know, again, I'm building a safe reactor. If things don't go quite to plan, hopefully having it down here will be helpful. Let's talk about the design aesthetic down here, right? So first off, on the walls, we went from the white marble to this lovely basalt that I made with the chisel, and I wanted to have a good transition. So we go from the pure white of the marble to a light gray lamp to a regular gray lamp to the very dark basalt. And I think it has a nice transition. And then I really wanted to have lime green inverted lamps down here, because it's like nuclear energy. I thought that would look really good with the quad uranium cells, but it required I go find a cactus, which I've not done yet, so maybe in the future. In the meantime, we got some orange lamps down here just kind of filling in space. Now, unfortunately, obviously, this is not centered, so our nuclear reactor will not be centered, which is frustrating, but I don't know, we'll build it off to one side and pretend it was supposed to be like that all along, I guess, maybe. And with all of that malarkey out of the way, we can go ahead and get started today. We're going to be building a lot of things. First off, right in the middle of our reactor, we're going to need a nuclear reactor. We're going to want to surround that with as many reactor chambers as possible, which is 6, because that's how many sides a block has in this game. We're going to need to store all of this energy inside of an inside of an MFSU, and then in order to get it out of there, because this is going to be outputting super high voltage, I think it's like EV, so I don't know what that stands for, extreme voltage maybe? We want an HV transformer to bring it down to something the MFSU can handle. And then we already have an HV transformer to go from the MFSU into our machines. Although I don't think that the Mass Fabricator requires it. I think the Mass Fabricator can take high voltage, unless I'm mistaken. Now, inside of the reactor, we're going to need some uranium cells, and then we're going to need other things. Now, I'm not telling you this is the best way to build a reactor. What I am telling you is that after reading on a bunch of forums and Reddit posts, what I have determined is that we're going to follow an image that I found, a jpeg, that tells me I need a component heat vent, an overclocked heat vent. I don't know how you can overclock a heat vent, but here we are. A heat exchanger, and a containment reactor plating. We're also probably going to need some high voltage cables, or maybe extreme voltage cable. If that's even a thing, we might be able to just use the glass fiber cables. EV cable doesn't appear to be a thing at all. There's something called a plasma cable, but I don't know what that is. There's also LV flux cables, MV flux cables, and HV flux cables. What the heck is a flux cable? It's from Flux Cable the Mod. I think we actually got a message about this from someone. Transfers RF per tick. Why would you want this? Why would you want to do this as opposed to use... I mean, it's not necessary, because remember, the regular kinesis pipes that we have are very broken. For now, let's get started with our reactor chamber. We will need 6 of them, plus there are 3 required for this actual recipe. And then, interestingly enough, a regular bog standard generator. We might nip one from up here, as well as a basic advanced circuit. So I guess not basic at all. This would be a basic circuit. This would be an advanced one. So in order to build the reactor chamber, we need dense copper plate, which is just 8 copper inside of a compressor. We have a compressor. We have copper. We can make that happen. The other thing we're going to need is a machine block, which is iron cooked up. Now, remember when we started this pack? Am I wrong? Oh, I organized some things over here. That's not as interesting, is it? Built an anvil so I could give the name tags names, because we were able to get the one out of the... and then put it in the... and then now we got Carl and Prescott down there in the... no sign of Buttercup or Thunderhoofs yet, but we'll see. Didn't iron have an EMC value when we started? Like so many things in this pack, wasn't it just like slightly better? So we're going to zoom over here, and we're just going to have a bunch of refined iron cooked up. And then I don't think we're going to be using the Macerator much today. So we will overclock this bad boy, and we'll come over here to the compressor, and we'll throw some additional overclocks in there too, although we might be getting to a point where we can't sustain that type of power output, although it seems to be running fine right now. There are other ways to generate high amounts of electricity. We could upgrade our solar panel if we wanted to. It's been on my agenda to build a medium voltage solar panel for some time now, but what I figure is, you know, because Galacticraft's in this pack, when we go to the moon, maybe then we'll worry about solar panels, and while we're down here, we won't worry about it. I started putting Mobius fuel in these because I think the reference, every time I put them in there, I just say, Mobius? Gosh, fortunately, yeah, this thing is very quick, because it is taking 8 of them and then producing 1. I suppose I could have done maths to figure out exactly how many of these we'll need. So we're making 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 4, that is, what, 36? So we need 36. And then it takes 8 of these. 288, is that right? I think we need 288 copper ingots to get the 36 dense copper plates that we need. So if you were looking for math, there you go. That comes out to 4.5 stacks of copper. Did a little division there, a little basic arithmetic for you. It's possible we will need more for other components. I haven't checked yet. I suppose I could. Yeah, literally the first one I clicked on. Yeah, we're gonna need more dense copper plates. We should have an export upgrade, a hopper, and we should also have a chest. Let's automate this, because I don't want to stand around here all day. So we can put our copper up there, and then we want you to output Not... Yeah, actually to the west. That's fine. So we'll toss that in there. And perfect. So we can just keep this bad boy loaded with copper. I've noticed as I edit these that I refer to these machines as bad boys a lot. Which is strange because they're actually quite useful and helpful. And I don't think that they're in any way, you know, naughty or inappropriate. It's just a weird thing that I do. I don't know why. I can't really give you any explanations for it. So I'm going to put all of this up here. Disregard the glass! It's chiseled glass. We'll talk about that later. That's the next half episode, maybe. Let's make some machine blocks, and let's make a few of them, because we're going to need probably a lot as we go through this. But we now have enough to generate... Wow, am I doing that recipe wrong? Are 6 reactor chambers for going on to the actual reactor itself, and then the 3 necessary for the reactor recipe. I'm going to grab my electric wrench, which should still be in lossless mode, and I'm going to come down here and pilfer this generator, because it is no longer needed. Oh, I guess while we're down here real quick, we can have a little look-see. I haven't emptied these out in a while. This is pretty good. The last time I emptied these 2 machines out, I emptied them out at the same time. So this one's at a stack and almost a half of diamonds. And then this one over here, I did have to turn off one of the buttons to maintain equilibrium, just a heads up. Let's just let it keep running. We don't need an EMC right now. I can already tell that this is going to be one of those episodes where by the time it's all said and done, my inventory is going to be a complete and absolute mess. So again, preemptively, I'm just going to make 6 of these, even though we only need 1 right now, because you never know, you might need more. Now, what I should have done, if I wanted to be truly professional and helpful, is I should have gone and gotten right down to the very last stick, a list of every single component and exactly how many we would need. And look, I'll be the first to admit that, yeah, I should have done that. But I've been here at this computer for many hours now, because I've actually, like, this was all done today. All the basement and everything outside has all been done over the last few hours. So I was ready to get the episode started. I apologize. I am working, and I think I said this in a previous video, I am working on, in the future, having a proper tutorial for all of this after sort of everything's settled down and there aren't new updates coming out every day that break the game in some new and fantastic way. But, okay, that's the recipe. There we go. Nuclear, reactor, and reactor chambers. So those are all ready to go now. Once all the updates have kind of settled down, and we have a better picture of what the pack's going to look like, what the recipes are all going to be, at that point, I'm probably going to create a couple of videos, tutorial-focused, less Let's Play in nature, actually not Let's Play at all. I'll probably use this place as a set. And if you're looking for, like, proper good guides that don't involve me going crazy and actually being prepared and knowing what I'm talking about, we'll do that. I haven't done it yet because I feel like every time I sit down to record, there's a new version, and it fundamentally changes something I talked about in the last, like, literally, the update that removed EMC values from these lamps came out the same day that that video launched, or maybe the day I recorded it, I can't remember, but it's frustrating to say the least. But we've got our nuclear reactor and our reactor chamber. Now, let's go ahead and also get our MSFU, which is the next tier of energy storage above the MFE. This is the high voltage one, and you don't want to plug your machines directly into it unless they have 2 transformers, or a medium voltage transformer, which we made in the past and should still be stored inside of here, and a single transformer in each machine, or an LV transformer as well. You're risking things. It's getting dangerous. So I'm going to remove the nuclear reactor, the reactor chambers. Let's focus on the MFSU. So you're going to need an MFE. So we're actually going to need to build another MFE. That, or we could just move ours down there. That would be fine. We don't really need an MFE up here and an MFSU down there. We can just have the MFSU, and then as long as there's a transformer between it and all of our equipment, it should be fine. I don't want to unplug it just yet, so we'll wait until we have everything else. And everything else that we need for the MFSU is Laptron crystals, which I think we've built before. It's 2 electronic circuits, a bunch of lapis, and then energy crystals, which is what we've actually built before. That's right, I remember now. So the 5 of these that I built are not going to be enough. We're actually going to need way more. So 2, and then there's 6 of these, so that's 12, and then 1 in here, so 13, and then... Wowzers. Okay, so we need 13 electronic circuits in order to build the MFSU. Alright, so we got all of our energy crystals made, all 6 of them. Now we combine them with lapis and 2 electronic circuits each, and that'll give us the 6 Lapitron crystals. What a harrowing experience that was. That was a bit of a joke. It was not a harrowing experience. Next we will need an advanced machine block, which is a machine block with carbon plate and advanced alloy, so I think we've actually built one of these in the past. We should have everything we need inside of here. We do have machine plates, and we do have carbon plates. I'm trying to be mindful of other things that I have in here that we might need later. We do have an electric furnace, but I don't think that'll be useful. It's automatic, zoom, 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 make my heart go boom, ba boom. Supernova girl. Advanced machine block, and then we can build the advanced circuit, and the final component we will need will be our MFSU. Now, once we take this down, boy, we're going to be in a bit of a pickle. Let's get all of our cables that we have, and we will plug everything in directly to the generators. Come here, you. This is a temporary measure. Hopefully it'll be fine. We will make sure that each of these machines has a bit of Aeternalis fuel burning in it. So what did we determine? Each one of these was the equivalent of 64 blocks of coal, I think? Should be fine. 64 coal, not 64 blocks of coal. Just so we're clear. I wanted to clarify that. Now, from memory, I will build the MFSU, and this is such an annoying process. I've in previous series, I have had multiples of these. I've built these specifically just to power teleporters, and it's always a pain in the neck. But there we go, the MFSU. So the MFSU stores 10 million EU, and it inputs and outputs 512. This is according to the IC2 Classic wiki. Of course, that wiki also states that there's something called a plasma energy storage unit that is simply not present in this game. It could have been disabled for whatever reason, I'm not sure, but that's the MSFU. We have our medium voltage transformer to get power safely out of the MSFU to our machines, which each currently only have 1 transformer. Again, we could start stacking transformers and then get more energy in here, but that's not a task for today. Next up, we need to actually build a high voltage transformer, which is going to protect the MFSU from blowing up when we plug it into our reactor, because the reactor will be putting out extreme voltage. Wake me up, shake me up, take me to the stars. Oh, so much to know, so far to go. Galaxy is ours. The galaxy is ours, my girl. You guys ever watch Xenon, Girl of the 21st Century? Or is it Xeon? Xeon, Girl of the 20th. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I've had that song by Protozoa stuck in my head all day. Protozoa is the band, the fictional... Not even a band, he's a performer. He's fantastic, too. They recast him in the 3rd one. The 3rd one sucked, though. The third, don't even watch it. It's not worth it. The 3rd, I don't even know why they made it. The first 2 were fantastic films, and then they went and they ruined it with one about the moon spirit or whatever. I hated it. It was terrible. Everyone involved should have been fired. Except for the girl who plays Xena. She was great. She was always a gem in those films. Alright, high voltage transformer. Now, I did say we were going to build a Mass Fabricator, but considering that's not really part of the nuclear reactor experience, I think that can wait a bit. I'm going to build some additional high voltage cables, and then we're going to go deal with this guy. I don't know what his deal is. We still haven't actually secured our house from creepers for whatever reason. Man, they don't really seem to aggro on me, though. Or maybe it just takes them longer. Maybe I'm just super fast at killing them, and they don't even realize it's coming. Except for in the event of that one down there. By the way, we had a creeper blow up. I know I'm bad about bringing that up. Sometimes it's just craters, and I ignore them. But let's talk about where we're going to put this reactor. I say this corner because it is closer to where the power is eventually going to need to get to. And then I did just realize that I don't want to put the reactor on the ground itself. So we're going to come up here and we're going to get some marble, which for some reason I opened that up with carble. Like that's what I started writing, which is just not a thing. And then I looked at my keyboard and like the C and the M are very far away. So I don't know what exactly I was doing there. But we will place down our marble. And that's probably fine. We're going to take out the nuclear reactor. This is the core of our reactor, and plop it down right there. So if we have a look inside of it, not much going on. But if we break all of these blocks, and oh my gosh, this thing is extremely dead. Very unprofessional of me. I definitely should have had that charged up. We're going to get our reactor chambers, and each time we place one of these down, when we right-click on it, you'll see that there's more room inside of our reactor. And what do we do with that space? Well, we're going to fill it with all kinds of useful things. We're going to fill it with things like coolant cells and nuclear fuel cells and other things of that nature. There we go. So this is a full-size one. It gets no bigger than this, to my knowledge, unless it's been modified since. Now that just looks like a bundle of chaos and terror, doesn't it? You know what? We probably need to get ourselves some hazmat suits so we don't accidentally die while handling all this hazardous waste material. I don't actually think that the hazmat suits are necessary. I'm not really sure. I know they used to be, especially in Tekkit Classic, because otherwise you'd start like tanking damage from nuclear materials in your inventory, which was always a fun time. But they look really cool, the hazmat suits, and they really, I think, set the stage for what's going on here. So we're going to need some orange dye, and from the looks of it, 1 there and 2 there, so only 3. And you can get this, by the way, by just combining like dandelion yellow and the red rose flowers, and there you go, you're good to go. Hazmat suits. These do look pretty slick. We're going to keep them in our inventory for now, and then we're going to just continue and see if we start like taking damage, and it'll be funny. Sorry, I realized that was a bit of an odd aside. I got very distracted there. So, coming out of this machine, I suppose we're going to have our medium voltage, high voltage. We want the high voltage transformer. So we can, I think, hook it directly up to this. I think. It'd be so funny if we couldn't, and it just blew all of this up, and it was just really disappointing for everyone, myself included. Wouldn't that be hilarious? We'll point that bad boy downward. Or do we want to point it upward? I actually can't remember how these work. I think that this is how it works. Any side can be high voltage, and then the bottom side is the output. I think if you apply a redstone signal to it, though, it reverses it. But there won't be a redstone signal. You know what? I don't think that we can actually blow up the MSFU. If the HV transformer is set up incorrectly, I think just nothing will happen. We'll find out. There is our MSFU, and we will put that piece of basalt back. Okay. Yeah, this might work. This could be fine. This might be fine. This could be a disaster. Now we get on to the components phase, where we're going to be building things like containment reactor plating, heat exchanger, overclocked heat vent, component heat vent, quad uranium cell. Doubt. How? Doubt. How? Doubt. How? Doubt. How? Alright, so I am looking on the IC2 Classic Wiki, and we're going to read a little bit about what these do so that I don't come out as a complete hack fraud, and at least there's some educational content here. So we've got the reactor plating. Increases the heat limit of the reactor hull, increases the temperature levels at which the reactor surroundings catch fire, and depending on their type, can either increase or decrease the force of a meltdown explosion. Okay, well these are containment reactor plating, so gosh, hopefully they're better than the standard. So these actually lower the max heat, but increase reactor durability. So heat vents absorb heat emitted by adjacent components. However, they will not draw in heat themselves and dissipate it. Some vents also absorb heat directly from the reactor hull. So the overclocked heat vent extracts 36 heat from the reactor hull per tick, but dissipates 20 heat from itself per tick. If not supported by other vents, this vent can overheat and melt itself, which I suppose is why they are surrounded by component heat vents and containment reactor plating. So then the heat exchanger attempts to equalize the heat stored within themselves and adjacent components. And yeah, it's surrounded by a lot of hot things. And then the component heat vent is a vent that removes heat from adjacent components at an increased rate. Well, there you go, folks. I suppose if I spent a lot of time reading all of this, I could determine what the absolute best, to heck with safety, but the absolute best setup would be. But for right now, Let's just start throwing reactors in there. And, I suppose we'll need a way to power it on. Would it be silly to put a lever on it? That feels like that feels silly. We really need to build a teleporter. Maybe that's what we'll do in the next, like, partial half episode. We'll just put teleporters everywhere. And back down we go. This is where we find out, as soon as we flip the switch, that it's set up incorrectly, and the MFSU blows up and takes off one of the chambers. And then that itself starts this sort of chain reaction that causes the whole thing to blow up. It's all on! There is no power going to the MFSU. Maybe I was right about the transformer needing to be turned in a different direction. Alright, you know what? Let's break that bad boy. Oh my god! Okay, I was like, where did it go? Hold on a minute, where did it go? Everybody calm down, everything's fine so far. We're good here. Get that out of that hand. Let's flip that thing around first off. HV transformer might need to be facing the opposite of the direction we had it. Okay, I need you to face upward is the issue. You know what? Let's throw down our MFSU. And then we will throw our HV transformer onto the top of it. No, but I need you to face... You know what? You know what? Come here. Fine. Fine. No, this is fine. We're going to take the HV transformer and set it down there. And then we're going to hook that up with some of those big high-voltage cables we've got. Oh, they were in my inventory this whole time. I think we could probably use glass fiber cables, but... These will look cooler, because they're big, fat, thick cables, and I like that. That's fun. So that's hooked up, right? And then we take our MFSU, and we plop it down. That should be input right there, so click. See, I'm thinking maybe the red is the input. There we go! So red is the input, and then all the other sides are outputs. So that's hooked up now, and we have our MFSU being filled with, I mean, obscene amounts of power. And yeah, look what I was saying. Look how thick these cables, they're ridiculous. It's great. How are you doing? So what we want to keep an eye on here is, first off, we will have to replace these quad uranium cells. Oh, we lost some components. That's bad. That shouldn't have happened. So I believe up there we had two... Oh yeah, these are going down fast. These are the overclocked heat vents. And they're dropping like flies. I feel like I was lied to by this random wiki. Kill the power. Shut this thing down. So once it's turned off, you'll notice these will start to go back up as they cool off. Which is what we want to see. So this entire time, this entire video, I was designing something that was never going to work properly. But it did create a lot of power. Doubts. How? Doubts. How? Doubts. How? Doubts. How? So it looks like we're going to be using the component heat vents still, basing this off of my own video. But advanced heat vents. A lot of advanced heat vents, and a lot of, let's see, these I don't even think we're going to be using. We're going to take those out right now. It doesn't look like we're going to be using these. I don't see a single heat exchanger in here. Basically all of these need to go. This looks like it's going to be a lower output system, and I'm okay with that. Pretty much everything in this bag now is junk. This is all we're going to be reusing. Not even going to be reusing all of them. If I'm looking at this recipe in my own video, it never blew up in the Tekkit Legends X25 challenge. So yeah, that's such a disappointment. Now, that's not to say that the items we're currently holding are useless. That is simply to say that the JPEG we saw was a lie, and if we want to get use out of these, we'll have to come up with a different setup for them in the future. In the meantime, we still have them, and we can still use them at a later date. Let's go ahead and compress ourselves up some more uranium, make ourselves some more cells. We will also need more copper plate. Jeez, this is a proper thunderstorm, too. This is the perfect weather for something to happen. Unfortunate, you know what I mean? We need to make sure it's nice and cozy inside of here, at least. You know, it's nice and warm from all of the heating lamps. They put off a nice little warm glow. How is everyone down here? Are you okay? Are you alright, Prescott? What about you? Carl, you okay? Carl's fine. Maybe we can get Carl a baby. Maybe not. We then need 27 advanced heat vents, which means 54 regular heat vents, so making more of those. 54 of them. 54! What was the other recipe? Oh, we could just use different ones to create this one. That weird. 54. I've already forgotten how many of these I said I would need. Was it 42? I think it was 42. I think the fact that these don't stack is actually... like, make it to where they don't stack inside of the reactor. That's fine. But I need them to stack for most things, so it's a bit annoying. How are we gonna get power up here? We're gonna have to dig. I already have this weird little hole back here that doesn't really do anything. Maybe that's where we dig straight down and then out of the wall down there, and that's where we'll run our cables. I can already tell that editing this is gonna be a nightmare, because I keep talking about things and then kind of trailing off and realizing, nah, I don't need to talk about that right now. I'll do that sometimes, where I'll just start a conversation. I'm like, man, this isn't really going anywhere. And I'll just trail off, and I'll expect me in the edit to just know that when I go to edit. But edit Rees is like a different Rees entirely. Edit Rees hears the beginning of that conversation, expects it to go somewhere, kind of does all the prep and edit work around it, and then the conversation trails off and he realizes, oh, that was never going to go anywhere. And then he gets kind of frustrated and he cuts it all out. He goes, oh, darn you, Rees that records! Why are you like this? Doubt. How? Doubt. How? I think I'm starting to see a pattern emerging on my screen right now. Again, following a guide from a video that I myself made in September 6th. Wow, remarkably close to. So this is 2019, almost exactly 3 years ago. A little bit more than 3 years ago I uploaded this. That is crazy. Man, I gotta tell you, this just looks ridiculous. I think we can just start clicking these in here. They should just fill in all the available spots and go where I need them to go. The exception to that is going to be with the little ones. So the little ones actually have specific places in here that they go. So one goes there. I think one goes down here, one goes here, and then this one goes at the top. Now, supposedly, according to me in this old Tekkit Legends video, this is good to go, and looking at it, it looks like I turn it on right after putting this layout in there. I'm skipping ahead a bit in the video to double check and make absolutely positively sure. And if we head outside now, how much are we producing? 115. So from Wait a minute. Hold on a minute. I've got some sort of reactor block on here that tells me what's happening inside of the reactor. Tells me the heat, the melting, the output. Why don't I remember building that? Is that a thing I can get here? Reactor Chamber, Steam Reactor Chamber, Reactor Planner. Wait, what is this? Nuclear reactors are the most powerful means of generating EU and industrial craft, and they are also the most dangerous. One misplaced component in your power supply is now a rather large bomb. The Reactor Planner is a block that allows a user to safely create and test a reactor design prior to actually building it. The Reactor Planner is an MV tier machine accepting 120 EU per tick input and consuming 100 EU per tick while actively simulating a reactor. The Reactor Planner has a rather complicated GUI. No, I mean, looking at it, it doesn't look that complicated. Are you kidding me? We could just put things in there and it'll... What? This whole time, we didn't need to follow no... What? The Reactor Planner, everyone! Now it does require a full nuclear reactor, some chambers, an advanced machine... I mean, I'm not building one right now because I'm just going to throw this switch and we're just going to see what happens. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? This is just here for the world to see! It's just here this whole time! Oh my gosh, how are we doing? How are we doing? We're generating quite a bit of power. It's working. It's working. The machine is working. The reactor heat vents seem to be okay. Okay, well, they're taking some hits. They're getting hot. Are they gonna break? Did I do something wrong? Why is nothing I build right? It is possible that the version of Industrial Craft, well, it is a different version of Industrial Craft Classic from what I used in Tekkit Legends, but I didn't think it would be so different that we would start to see severe heat degradation. I mean, look at this. This stuff's getting way too hot. These components can break if they get too hot. Why is this stop? Why is this so bad? Oh! Oh, did I do that? Okay, yeah, I did that. Thought maybe it had caught fire and burned up. Okay, well, I skipped to the end of my own video, and at the end of my own video, I replaced all the dual uranium cells with single cells. This is why I need to pay more attention. This video has been sort of a mess, but I don't know if it's as bad as Maddening Malarkey. So, well, comment down below. Which video was the worst? Was it Maddening Malarkey or whatever this is titled? A Nuclear Nightmare, probably? You know, the funny thing is, I'm not even in this for the most power you can get. I just want to create something that's not going to blow up and supply enough power to run, you know, get some UU matter and run all of my machines inside. You know, it doesn't need to be crazy powerful. I made too many of these, by the way, because I forgot that the reason we needed 42 of them was because we had to create a lot of double ones. But that's okay, because now we have plenty that we can replenish with in the future. So, I'm going to move this over to this side, where the MFSU is, because I've decided that that is the side that we address this thing from, for no particular reason. Turn it on. Everything powers on. We're outputting a pretty decent amount of power. I don't know how much, not sure how to measure it. That definitely looks like it's going to be much more manageable, and now we just need to get the power inside. So now, we just dig. I think the issue with how I built this is that we might not be able to get the cable underground, and the reason is, yeah, bedrock. But we might be able to kind of snake it around. So if it comes out the bottom of here, we can have it go around here, through here, through there, perfect. So there is a pathway. It's a bit of a mess, but it can be done. We are going to get our mercurial eye, and we're going to make sure that it is configured with marble. And then we're going to make sure that that chute down there that we just dug is completely marble. In case at any point in future videos we happen to look down here and we see down this shaft, we want all of that to be marble. So we're going to tap through G until we get to transmutation, which is what it was already on. And then we are going to have to put fuel in it. Is it already? It should already be fueled up, actually. Yeah, except we didn't put the marble in correctly. That's our issue. Right click, right click. Now, something interesting I learned about this device while using it to build all of this is if you right click on an ore, because that can't be transmutated, it just replaces it with the marble and puts the ore inside of your inventory. Alright, so we've got a marble chute all the way down. Now we're going to have to build a lot of glass fiber cables. An obscene amount of glass fiber cables. So we've got 2 stacks and a bit, which should be enough for getting the power up here through this very dark hole. Let's make sure we point you downward. And we're going to have our cables come out. Now, I did say I wanted to run the Mass Fabricator off of the high voltage directly. So I've got to decide where I'm going to put the transformer. We just have to make sure that we put the transformer down and that we don't forget to use the transformer, because gosh help us if that happens. Also, I need to make sure that I build this cable properly. If we accidentally miss one of these, and I'm spending, you know, 40 minutes trying to diagnose why... Oh, see, now hold on. What happened right there? What happened right there? Was that just a weird shadow? Or did it put a block there when we ran out of cable? I can't tell. See, it did it again. It did it again. Okay, it did. It put a high voltage cable. That's fine, but didn't we have 2 stacks of these? Come on. The big advantage for glass fiber cables is not only do they carry tons of energy, they also do not have energy loss over distance. At least I don't think they have any at all. So we got our medium voltage transformer, which will take the high voltage and change it into medium voltage, and we can plop that right there, although, actually, we do want to have a tap for high voltage. That's the thing. And maybe that can be directly in front of it. Maybe we can generate UU matter with a machine sitting right there. So we will put this on top. Like that. But we do need it to be aimed the other direction. If I get down on top of it and I click... Well, that's just gonna... That's not... What if I shift-click it? Yeah, there we go. So it should have the red now pointing down. Perfect. I gotta go downstairs and patch all of that mess, but we need to first tap this into everything up here and make sure that I got it set up correctly. So I imagine this thing has probably stopped running a few times. I don't know, it still says 100% speed, so I guess it never lost power. We'll tap in right here. It might be a bit of a mess, but for right now, just to get it up and running, this is the basement. Who cares about how tidy it is? I do, I care. I care a lot, actually. Before I click this in here, I'm trying to think, is there anything bad that might happen? That's a medium voltage transformer. It's transforming everything into medium voltage. All of our machines have transformers. So that they can... Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So one immediate benefit that we should have is that now, even though these generators are going down, our machines should stay fully powered up. In fact, we can get our overclocker upgrades out. Toss some in there. Go ahead and get... Oh, that was a risky game we just played. Oh, did you see what I right-clicked that with? Let's get that out of the hotbar. Oh, boy. Toss that in there. Now, the issue here with overloading it with the overclocker upgrades would actually be not being able to get enough power into our machine because we're still using the... We're converting it to medium voltage in the basement. So I wouldn't expect... Oh. Interesting. Now, this does have its own energy storage upgrade, so we could be depleting through that, although I would expect that to be represented here with the lightning strike. Wow, it is burning through this stuff. We just have so much energy to spare. That's all of my upgrades. I don't have any more speed upgrades. That's not true. I have 2 more. Let's get another stack of iron. See, what I could do, and what I should do, and what I will eventually do. See, we can only go up to 11 before this starts to deplete. And the reason is we're still technically running this machine on medium voltage. If we wanted to run it directly off the reactor, well, not directly off the reactor, that would be silly, but run it directly off of the high voltage transformer down there and completely eliminate the medium transformer here, is we would need to create 1, 2, 3, 4 additional transformers, I think? Would that be correct? We have 4 machines, yeah. So, I mean, we could just go ahead and make some more transformers. They're not particularly difficult. It's so easy and convenient because we have our base upgrades. I'm starting to feel like if this were a company, everyone would just assume I'm being paid by them, like under the table to do some like backdoor advertisements for the base upgrades. Is building upgrades a pain for you? It used to be for me too, but then I discovered the base upgrade. Get your base upgrade today! Oh, you can't stack them inside of the machine. Oh, they're gonna take up an extra slot. Well, for a lot of our machines, that isn't an issue. We can kind of do that and it would be fine. But I think we all know one machine for which that would be an issue. And that would be machine... down here that hath no upgrade spots left available to it. That means that we need UU matter. And to get UU matter, we need the Mass Fabricator. And nothing here is really outside of anything we've done today. We've done all of that. Do you like the way that I struggled to say words just then? Nothing here is outside of what we've done today? Like that's not even... That doesn't even make sense, does it? Does that mean anything to anyone? I don't think so. Laptron Crystal. Advanced... Circuit doohickey thingy-mabob. One Mass Fabricator! Which should be a machine that we can plug in directly to high voltage. It's going to be so funny when I click it on there and it immediately just blows up and kills me and Carl. You ready to die today, Carl? Let's take a risk. Oh. No, that's fine. Back on the wiki, it says that apparently the energy you supply will be used to create UU matter, and one piece of UU matter requires 7 million EU, which is conflicting from other reports. It says that this can be modified in the config. See, I found Tekkit Classic wikis that claim it's 1 million EU, but I don't know what it is in this pack. I'd have to find the config. This config is a multiplier that allows you to modify the cost of EU per UU matter. Needs to be synced between client and server, else progress issue come up. Default 1, range min 0.01, max 1900. EU per UU equals 1. Does that mean 1 million? Or is that the default of 7 million? Is that like 1, that is to say there is no multiplier? Because that's what it's saying. Modify the cost of EU. This config is a multiplier. So that seems to suggest to me it would be the 7. But then again, I don't read config. I hope it's not risky to open up config files like that while the game is running. To be clear, I did not in any way modify it and just open it up. Now, apparently, if we throw scrap in here, it speeds the process up. So we've got scrap, which you can apparently get from a carpenter, but that's just not true. This is very bugged. What you actually want is a recycler, and there's two different versions: a compacting recycler and a regular recycler. Of course, much like with every other item in the game, such as the Rotary Macerator, there is another. The compacting recycler is like the regular recycler, but even better at generating scrap. So what you do is you feed it power, you feed it random items, there's a chance it'll give you scrap. If you put 9 scrap in here, it'll make a scrap box, and according to the wiki, it is an MV tier machine, which means it can take medium voltage by default, which has me wondering about this thing. Is it also an MV tier machine? Does it not need the transformer upgrade? I thought that it did or it would blow up, but let me have a look here at this wiki. Let's see, Rotary Macerator. According to this, the Rotary Macerator is an upgrade. What? Max input 128 EU per tick. So if I take this out of here, well, let's test it with this first, because I don't care if this blows up. We're going to build one of these. It's pretty basic. You got to get a compressor. We've built one before. Put dirt around it, some refined iron, and a glowstone. This is quite the procedure. So first we got to get the compressor, and then we got to surround it with all of these objects to get the recycler, and then we got to surround it with a bunch of pistons, 7 of the darn things to be precise, and then we need to get another advanced block, which fortunately we just barely had enough carbon plating for. And we get ourselves the compacting recycler. And then we get ourselves a few glass fiber cables, because I'm not sure if I really believe. Call me paranoid. But let's go. I mean, how far away? Let's just go over here. Let's take this over here. And we'll plug this thing in directly to the medium voltage. Okay. Alright. Seems like it's fine. We'll set it over here next to this machine, and we'll be weary of not plugging it directly into the high voltage. There we go. So does that mean we can come over here now, and we can... Oh, hold on. Hold down the Alt key. Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh, my gosh! Ladies and gentlemen! I'm gonna have to... I haven't edited the video with this in it yet. Haven't edited it yet. I'm gonna have to have an info thing pop up on the bottom of the screen and explain that the transformer was unnecessary this entire time. That's embarrassing. Well, that means that we can just put the export upgrade in after we configure it first off. Yep, west, plop it in there, and then these are no longer necessary. These can go, and the complication they introduce can go with them for all I care. It's perfect. It's perfect! It's perfect! I've done it! I've done it! Also, this is getting a little out of hand. Let's take some of these out of here. I guess it's probably running even more efficiently now than it was before, since it's literally just spitting things out the back. So let's pull some of those out. This thing, though! You literally, you put trash in it, and there's a chance that it will not accept my overclocker upgrades, but it might spit out something, and it might not. You can throw literally anything in here, by the way, and I mean like literally anything. Now, this machine needs to have a lever on it so it keeps operating even when it doesn't have something to process. It's like the Rotary Macerator in that way, where if you want it to go at full power, you either need to keep it running all of the time with items or keep it running all the time with a lever. So it's another thing drawing down our power grid. This isn't going to affect this machine, no, but it is going to affect the lamp on the floor. Oh, it did affect this machine. Okay, you gotta go. You can't be here anymore. Get out of here. Probably need to find another place for this machine, honestly. Oh, but we do have scrap, so we can take that scrap and we can put it inside of here and get like a nice amplification for a bit until it runs out of the scrap. If we place it next to this machine, yeah. Okay, cool. The lever on the front of this machine will keep this one on as well. We've hacked the game. So as with the normal recycler, any item inserted has a chance to become scrap, else it will disappear. Any metal items inserted has a chance to become scrap metal, and if 9 scrap is inserted, it will compress into scrap box. Scrap is inserted in the recycler, blah, 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 blah. I don't know if it matters what items you put in, whether or not some will give it a better chance at generating scrap than others. Let's just go with the cheapest thing in the world, the item that most people hate and despise, and let's grab a hopper. And we'll just keep funneling more and more cobblestone. You know what we could do is we could put... Wait a minute. Let me think about this. Okay, hear me out, right? We got all this back here. We don't really want to interrupt that, but we're going to put this back here. And then on top of that, we're going to have this. And then we're going to have energy collector, which is not getting the most sunlight in the world, but that'll start funneling into here, and we'll have this generate cobblestone. Okay, and then that's going to go in here. Oh my gosh. Folks, we've absolutely... First off, I mean, no, that's unnecessary. This hasn't completely spun up. Once it will go faster eventually, but the speed at which this can produce cobblestone is the speed at which this thing can insert it from the hopper. This is brilliant. There are more efficient ways of doing it, certainly. But this is brilliant. We could put an import upgrade here and an export upgrade and have it input directly from the condenser. Now, if we want to have this running long term, we might do that. And then have that be automatically piped into the Mass Fabricator. And then have the Mass Fabricator automatically output its UU matter. Oh, see, now we're getting into some fun, crazy Tekkit territory. We are currently producing scrap more quickly than the machine over here can consume it. So that's good, at least. But folks, those are all things that we could do later. For right now, let's go check on our nuclear reactor, make sure that it's okay. And then, remember, that was sort of the focus of the video, was to get UU matter production going after we built this. So I did come down here and I patched up the floor and I patched up the wall, and you can't even see it now. There's no clue how it operates, but if we have a look inside, it's doing exactly what we want it to. The uranium is depleting, which is what we expect, but our coolant, all of our cooling devices are staying in perfect condition. This is not the ideal way of doing this. What you really want to do is have really aggressive cooling and the big quad cells and just produce a ton of energy. But we don't need a ton of energy, although our MFSU is only just keeping up with output. And what's happening inside right now? We're running a few machines. This is not good. That means that we need to be... Let's see. Geez, we must be consuming a lot more power than I initially realized. I mean, I knew it wasn't going to be the most sort of over-the-top reactor, but I thought it would at least produce enough power to keep us running. I don't want to build a second reactor. That would be ridiculous. So, probably gonna end up trying to find a better internal layout to get more power out of it while still keeping it safe. Which means building that reactor tester, or maybe even just going into my test world and cheating one in. But, I don't know. You'll have to let me know whether or not it's cheating to use a tester on a different world. But I want to be here when our first UU matter is created. Hold on a minute. The whole reason we're making UU matter is to create something we no longer need. which is a product that allows us to put more upgrades inside of the Rotary Macerator. Although I guess we do need it now, because we could be using high voltage on all these machines. And we can't until we have a way to fit in more transformers. Oh, we got a first UU matter! What can you do with UU matter? Well, folks, lots of things. You can get 16 cobblestone out of it. Now, I know you're thinking, wow, that was a lot of EMC, and you're telling me we can get cobblestone? It's not great. But you can also get stone. You can get glass if you have 4 of them. Grass, oak wood, spruce wood, all kinds of different woods. You can get sponge, people! Don't you want sponge? There's actually a lot of really cool things you can do with it, and it can be really handy. Like, we're not going to find sponge naturally, are we? Cacti? I needed some of that earlier and I didn't have any. With UU matter, we can just make it. We can make it out of UU. We can make...
You're going to be your friend. You're going to split us. You're going to love us.
Nope, nope, not that, not that. Doubts. How? Doubts. How? Doubts. How? You can make a plethora of different things in here. And, I mean, yeah, it could be useful. I think that for right now, I'll probably turn off the darn thing. We can get some mycelium. Because as of right now, our reactor is not enough. But we can build an elytra if we have a ton of the stuff! Of course, the elytra does not have an EMC value, naturally. For right now, though, we don't need a lot of it. We don't have any use for it. So we're gonna turn that thing. Oh my gosh. That is disgusting. Can I put the lever on the top? Is that going to affect... I don't think you can turn a transformer. Wait, no, that reverses it. That turns a medium voltage into high voltage if it gets a redstone signal. Let's just take the thing down for right now. And we will keep it in like a chest or a box or... Actually, we'll keep it inside of here with all of my different nuclear power cells. But as the sun rises, we have now moved away from constantly dumping coal into generators, and we have moved into an age of nuclear power. And we've not perfected it, but it is running and it's not blowing up. So thank you folks for watching. God bless you. I'll see you later. Bye!